Hello and very welcome everyone to this session of the Modern History Part 3rd. In today's session, we are going to discuss some other topics related to the modern history that had not covered so far. In today's topic, we are going to discuss the topics like social and religious reforms. So let's start our session and see what we can learn from this particular topic. Before we start, the images used in our slide deck are for educational purpose only. We respect the intellectual property rights of the original creators and owners of these. If you are the owner of any of the images used in this deck and have any concerns or issues, please contact us at sathi@iitk.ac.in and we shall remove the image. So the first thing that we are going to discuss is the socio-religious reform movement. So let's just start. So the first person we are going to talk about is Mr. Rajaram Mohan Roy, a very important personality in our country, also known as the father of Indian Renaissance. So let's read about him. So his time period was from 1772 to 1833. Let's read. The organizations he started were Atmiya Sabha 1814, Calcutta Unitarian Committee 1823, Vedanta College or Vedant College 1825, Brahmo Samaj that was in 1828. And out of all of them, do remember that three important were Atmiya Sabha, first one, and Brahmo Samaj 1828. These two are really important because you can directly see the questions from them. Then comes the significance. So let's read about that. What basic thing that Raja Ram Mohan Roy told to this world. So he put his faith in monotheism. So basically, he was doing advocacy of the thing that there is only one God to whom we all can submit our worship. So that is why he was putting his faith in monotheism. If we talk about the Hindu religion, so Hindu religion is a polytheist dharam, the polytheist religion. Basically, that is the polytheism. Polytheism. So why we call it polytheism? Because there are certain number of gods to whom we can submit our worship. So that is why it is basically called a polytheism. And he was putting his faith in monotheism. His famous work include Gift to Monotheist 1809 and translation of the Vedas and the five Upanishads into Bengali. So these are his literary works. First one is The Gift to Monotheists, that is in 1809, and translation of the Vedas and the five Upanishads into Bengali. That was his another literary work. In 1814, he set up the Atmiya Sabha or Society of Friends in Calcutta to propagate the monotheistic ideals of the Vedanta and to campaign against idolatry. Idolatry means basically the idol worshipping that we all do. So against that he was, and apart from it, he was always in the favor of monotheism, as I was telling you earlier also. And for that purpose, he particularly established Atmiya Sabha, and the people of or the members of Atmiya Sabha or the Society of Friends basically do works creating awareness related to Vedanta. And apart from that, if we talk about, they also work towards creating awareness related to monotheism. He founded the Brahmo Sabha in August 1828. It was later renamed as Brahmo Samaj. And do remember that earlier this Brahmo Sabha was the part of Bengal region only. Later, Keshav Chandra Sen wanted this particular Sabha or Samaj to be the part of the Indian movement, but he was not succeeded in doing that because we all know that religion is a very sensitive thing, and you cannot just go and tell the people that what they are doing is wrong. So that is why it was not a successful thing he had done. That was Keshav Chandra. He launched a movement for the abolition of sati through his journal Sambad Kaumdi. This is really important, guys. Remember, his journal name was Sambad Kaumdi. I think you know what is a journal. Journal is a basic kind of article that we write so that we can create awareness in the people. There is a difference between diary and journal. Diary is written for self. When we write a diary, we write it for self purpose. We need to write down some personal things in that. But when we write a journal basically is being written so that we can create awareness between the people. So do you remember that Sambat Kaumdi was the journal of uh, Mr. Rajaram Mohan Roy. He used to write Sambat Kaumdi, and in that he launched a movement for the abolition of sati, for which Rajaram Mohan Roy is famously known in the whole country. Rajaram Mohan Roy was the father of modern India's Renaissance and a tireless social reformer who inaugurated the age of enlightenment and liberal reformist modernization in India. So he was, you can say, the first kind of social activist in our country who started thinking in a different way, in a radical way, I guess, and I must say. And he was the person on the basis of whom the sati practice was abolished in our country. Raja Ram Mohan Roy was given the title of Raja by the Mughal Emperor Akbar II. So there was a story that Raja Ram Mohan Roy was going to London, and at that time Mughal Emperor was Akbar II. Okay, so Akbar II was a pensioner of Britishers, and he wanted his pension to be increased. So for that purpose, he wrote a letter to the British monarch, and that letter was given to Ram Mohan Roy, and he submitted that letter to the monarch of Britain. So basically, Raja was the title given by Emperor Akbar II to Raja Ram Mohan Roy at that. So here you can see he was Raja Ram Mohan Roy. Remember his name, and he is especially known for the thing that he was the one on the basis on whose work the sati practice was abolished in our country officially by the Britishers. Remember who was the Governor General of Bengal who particularly created this regulation of abolition of sati? That was William Benedict. Now let's read about Mr. Devendra Nath Tagore. We know the Tagore family. We have a lot of people to know from Tagore family, but firstly we know about Devendra Nath Tagore. Organizations like Tattva Bodhini Sabha, founded in 1839, Adi Brahmo Samaj, founded in 1866. These are the two organizations or Sabha or Samaj that were created by Mr. Devendra Nath Tagore. He joined Brahmo Samaj in 1842. Tattva Bodhini Sabha studied India's past with a rational outlook. So basically, Tattva Bodhini Sabha was again a kind of a social activism organization that tells people about the different type of rituals and different type of activities that are being run in our country so far, and they provide a radical type of or rational type of thinking about those rituals to the people so that people can become aware about what they are doing. His famous work include Tattva Bodhini Patrika. This is really important as Sambat Kaumdi was the journal of Mr. Rajaram Mohan Roy. Tattva Bodhini Patrika was the journal, or you can say a work of basically Devendranath Tagore. So I hope this is all clear to all of you. Let's move further. Then comes Keshav Chandra Sen. So let's read about him. Brahmo Samaj of India, as I was saying, founded in 1866. So he was the person who tried to create Brahmo Sabha or Brahmo Samaj as an all India movement. So for this thing, Keshav Chandra Sen is known for. And did he get success in doing that? No, he did not get any success because, as I was saying, that you can create awareness among a bunch of people, but creating an awareness among the whole country takes time. So, and at that time, particularly, a lot of religious thinking and people are so much religious that they are particularly not following these type of awareness things at that time. So, it was a very big thing that what Rajaram Mohan Roy has done at that time in creating the law that abolished the sati practice. So he joined a Brahmo Samaj in 1858 and became Acharya. He was a champion of women's rights. His ideology was a mix of religious and social ideas. So I think this point is really clear. He established the Nava Vidhan in 1881. This is really important. What he established was Nava Vidhan in 1881, along with the newspaper New Dispensation to disseminate his religious ideas and philosophy. So basically, he became the part of Brahmo Samaj first of all. Then he wanted it to create a all India movement. That is why he created the Brahmo Samaj of India. And after that, he is famous for the fight that he fought for the women's rights. And apart from that, remember that he started the Nava Vidhan, that is another organization. And which particular newspaper he used to create awareness? That was New Dispensation. Remember this thing. And to disseminate his religious ideas and philosophy, basically to create awareness. As these days, you must see, these days, if we talk about the present day, so there are a lot of platforms where you can create awareness by using different type of social media platforms. But at that time there were no social media. So what at that time people used to do, they used to write newspapers, journals, so that they can particularly put their thoughts into the minds of the people. Okay, so that is why these patrikas and these newspapers, these journals were very common in those days. So Sambat Kaumdi was the journal of Raja Ram Mohan Roy. Then Tatva Bodhini Patrika was the journal of Debendranath Tagore. Then comes Mr. Keshav Chandra Sen. He used to write New Dispensation. So do remember all of these things. Then comes Anand Mohan Bose, Shib Chandra Dev, and Umesh Chandra Dutt. So organization was Sadharan Brahmo Samaj. And what was the significance? So it reiterated the Brahmo doctrines of faith in a supreme being, one God, the belief that no scripture or man is infallible, belief in the dictates of reason, truth, and morality. So basically, the ideology was that uh, there is no one supreme. Okay, any kind of doctrine or any kind of scripture in that are particularly being said in this world are infallible, and basically they can be replaced. And they also were working towards belief in the dictates of the reason, truth, and morality. So basically they are saying that we should not just go with the scriptures and what has been given to us as a scriptures or as a religious book. We should talk about reasons, we should talk about truth, and most importantly, we should talk about the morality. If something is morally applicable or not, if any kind of discrimination any person is doing with some person on the basis of different type on the basis of caste is good or not. So these type of things are basically under this. So do remember this. Then comes the Atmaram Pandurang. Very important, guys. Do remember this one. So Prarthana Samaj. Do always remember this question will be asked in your exams multiple times. Prarthana Samaj is related to Mr. Atmaram Pandurang that was created in 1867 Bombay with the help of Keshav Chandra Sen, the same person who wanted to create Brahmo Samaj All India Samaj, and also created the Nava Vidhan. It works on a 4-point social agenda. So there were 4 points that are working towards the social things: disapproval of caste system, women's education, widow remarriage, raising the age of marriage for both males and females. Mahadev Govind Ranade joined it in 1870 and popularized it. Other important leaders include R.G. Bhandarkar, N.G. Chanda Varkar, Hondo Keshav Karve, and Vishnu Shastri. So, Prarthana Samaj was basically started in 1867 and it was started by Atmaram Pandurang, and these are the important things they were working on. First of all, caste system. That was a big issue at that time, and lot of people believe it in a very staunch way. But a lot of organizations are working to create awareness regarding it. Then comes the women's education and widow remarriage. Widow remarriage was also a thing on which um, Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar did work, and in 1856 he also, along with Lord Dalhousie, created a law. And even after that, a lot of widows in our country are facing issues. So that is why Atmaram Pandurang is again creating awareness regarding it. Raising the age of marriage for both males and females. This is really important because that this was the time when child marriage was a big thing in our country, and all the people of our country believe in it. But the thing was that at that time it needed to be changed. Then do remember one more thing, that Mahadev Govind Ranade was also one of the member of it, and he joined it in 1870 and popularized it. And some other leaders' names are also. So two members are important. One is Atmaram Pandurang, who started the Prarthana Samaj, and other than him, Mahadev Govind Ranade was another person who is associated with it. Then comes the D.K. Karve and M.G. Ranade, that is Mahadev Govind Ranade. So widow movements and organizations, they started widow remarriage movement and widow home association. So basically they were working towards the betterment of the life of widows. It provided education and training to widows so that they could support themselves. It is really important. If a particular lady is a widow, then two things are really important for her. One is that she must be educated so that she can do some kind of work, and she must be given training in that thing, and so that she could be independent and she could support herself. Carve himself married a widow and tied with the example for others to follow. So do remember D.K. Carve and M.G. Ranade started this widow home association and widow remarriage. Then comes the Henry Vivian Thoreau. Very important, guys. You can forget anything, but do not forget about, first of all, Raja Ram Mohan Roy, then the Debendranath Tagore, then the Keshav Chandra Sen, and then this one, Henry Vivian Thoreau, and also Mr. Atmaram Pandurang, the Prarthana Samaj. Let's read about him. So, Young Bengal movement, very important, guys. Young Bengal movement. He taught at the Hindu College from 1826 to 1831. Was the leader and inspirer of this progressive trend. So basically, if I tell you about this one, so this was the same time when Raja Ram Mohan Roy was also active in Bengal, and on the other side, Henry Vivian Thoreau was active with his Young Bengal movement. He was creating basically the awareness among the youth of Bengal, and the one thing that he was telling the youth of Bengal is to ask questions. Whatever you are doing, just ask a question, and that was the basic philosophy of Henry Vivian Thoreau. They demanded induction of Indians in higher grades of services, protection of riots from oppressive zamindars. So riot basically is the word that is used for farmers. Okay, and better treatment of Indian labor abroad in British colonies, revision of the company's charter, freedom of press, and trial by jury. So these are the other things that the Young Bengal movement was particularly creating at that time, and some of them are against the Britishers also. That they particularly want, if they are living in this country, so they want certain type of rights and certain type of things, so that the particular government should be answerable also. So do remember his name, Henry Vivian Thoreau, and do remember that he was associated with the Young Bengal movement, and he was a teacher at Hindu College. Then comes the very important Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, guys. He started a movement in support of widow remarriage, as I was telling you. He became principal of Sanskrit College and opened it to non-Brahmins to break priestly monopoly. So this was the one thing he was doing at that time, so that the priestly monopoly could be banished. He also served as secretary of Bethune School, Calcutta, which was the pioneer of higher education for women. His work include Bahu Vibha, written in protest of polygamy. That is, what is the meaning of polygamy? When a person is engaged in multiple types of marriages, multiple times of marriages. Now let's read about Jyotiba Phule. And before that, to remember that Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar was the person who was behind the passing of the Act of Widow Remarriage Act that was passed in 1856. Then comes the Satya Shodhak Samaj in 1873. His work include Sarvajanik Satya Dharma and Gulamgiri. He dedicated his book Gulamgiri to all those Americans who had fought to free slaves. So do remember that Jyotiba Phulle is associated with the Satya Shodhak Samaj. And do remember his book, that is Gulamgiri. It has been asked so many times in exams. And Sarvajanik Satya Dharma. And this Gulamgiri is dedicated to those Americans who had fought to free slaves. Phulle used the symbol of Raja Bali as opposed to the Brahman's symbol of Rama. He, with the help of his wife Savitri Bai Phulle, opened a girls' school at Pune. He was a pioneer of widow remarriage movement in Maharashtra and also opened a home for widows in 1854. So, at all the type of movements that we have read so far, you can see one thing common. One and two things common. One is that most of the things that are happening in those areas which are basically the presidencies of the Britishers at that time, like the Bombay area, like the Bengal area, because these are the places where the exposure to the foreign books and newspapers and all that is applicable for all. So people are studying all the things. People are learning that how the Western world is working and how the Western world is particularly moving towards modernization. So a lot of people are getting this education, and they also wanted it to be added into the thoughts of our country's minds. So that is why you can see that most of the people that are working as a social activist at that time lived during the time from in the particular time of 19th century, that is from 1800 to 1899. A lot of social reformists and activists were active at that time. Then comes the Bal Shastri Jambekar. So let's read about that what he established. So he founded the Bombay Native General Library and started the Native Improvement Society. So here you can see that they are also working towards creating education. That is why it is always said that education is really important, and very important apart from that is reading books and knowing about the new things and modern world. He was a pioneer of social reforms through journalism in Bombay. He attacked Brahmanical orthodoxy and tried to reform popular Hinduism. He started the newspaper Darpan in 1832. He was also known as the father of Marathi journalism. This is really important, guys. Who is known as the father of Marathi journalism? That is Mr. Bal Shastri Jambekar. And he started a newspaper called Darpan. So in 1840, he started Digdarshan, which published articles on scientific subjects as well as history. So do remember all these things. These are really important. And do remember Mr. Bal Shastri Jambekar. He is famously known as the Marathi father of Marathi journalism. And he started a newspaper called Darpan in 1830. Then comes the Dadoba Pandurang Durgaram Mehtaji. Let's read about them. So they started an organization called Para Mahansa Mandali. That was in 1849. They were primarily interested in breaking caste rules. Then comes the Gopal Hari Deshmukh. He wrote for a weekly Prabhakar under the pen name of Lokhat, Lokhaitawadi on social reform issues. He started a weekly Hitechu and also played a leading role in finding the periodicals Gyan Prakash, Indu Prakash, and Lokhatiwadi. So, do you remember the name? The organization name was Paramhansa Mandali, that was started in 1849. And basically, the people behind the finding or the establishing of this organization was Dadoba Pandurang and Durgaram Mehtaji. And if we talk more about it, so he wrote for a weekly Prabhakar under the pen name Lok- Lokaita Vadi on social reform. Then comes the Gopal Ganesh Agarkar. So he was the co-founder of the new English school, the Deccan Education Society and Ferguson College. This is also very important college even today. He was the principal of Ferguson College. He was also the first editor of Kesari, the journal started by Lokmanya. He started his own periodical Trudrak, Trudrak, which spoke against untouchability and the caste system. So, do you remember? Gopal Ganesh Agarkar was the person who started who started this new English school as a co-founder, and also he became the principal of Ferguson College. And he was the first editor of Kesari, the journal of started by Lokmanya Tilak. Lokmanya Tilak basically started two journals at that time. One was Marathi and one was Kesari. Marathi was used to be written in English language, and Kesari was used to be written in Marathi language. Remember that. And yes, there is an exchange of language in these. Then comes Gopal Krishna Gokhale, very important guys, also known as the political guru of Mahatma Gandhi. Let's read more about him. So, organization that he started, the Servants of Indian Society, very important. It has been asked so many times in exams. In 1905, with the help of M.G. Ranade, that is Mahadev Govind Ranade. The aim of the society was to train national missionaries for the service of India, to promote by all constitutional means the true interest of the Indian people and to prepare a cadre of selfless workers who were to devote their lives to the cause of the country in the religious spirit. So this is the objective. This is the basic idea behind starting this Servants of Indian Society and finding those people who can particularly doing selfless works towards the betterment of the lives of the people of this country and create a particular country that is better for living. So do remember Gopal Krishna Gokhale is associated with the Servants of the Indian Society. Then comes Narayan Malhar Joshi. So Social Service League that was basically started in 1911 was basically started by him. He founded the Social Service League in Bombay with an aim to secure for the masses better and reasonable conditions of life and work. He was also founded the All India Trade Union Congress 1920 along with Lala Lajpat Rai and others. So do remember the Social Service League basically started by Narayan Malhar Joshi. Then comes another very important personality, Dayanand Saraswati, guys. So Dayanand Saraswati started the Arya Samaj. I hope you know about him. The Dayanand Saraswati. He said a lot of things. Let's read further, and I will tell you later also. So he established the Arya Samaj at Girgaon, Bombay, on 10th April 1875, and later the headquarters of the Samaj were established at Lahore. He established the Arya Samaj at Bombay on 10th April 1875, and later the headquarters of the Samaj were established at Lahore. It was a Hindu revivalist movement. The Samaj started a Shuddhi movement to convert non-Hindus to Hinduism. It fixed the minimum marriageable age as 25 for men and 16 for girls, and helped people in crises like floods. The Samaj also established DAV schools that are famously today you can know a lot of DAVs are found in a lot of different cities with emphasis on Western education. So they are basically promoting at that time Western education. Why? Because I already told you that Western education was in terms of thinking and thoughts and modernizing the world was way ahead of us at that time. So it is really important that we should introduce this Western education so that the people of this country can get out of all the orthodox rituals that we were doing at that time, and we can create a better world in this country. He gave the slogan back to the Vedas and said they were infallible. He attacked the Hindu orthodoxy. So he was a advocacy. He done advocacy in the thing of that we should be back to Vedas. That we should do what basic Vedas were saying and what is the originality of Vedas. So he was the person, Dayanand Saraswati, and he was also the person who said that India is for Indians. And also remember one more thing that Dayanand Saraswati is also famous for that he coined the word Swaraj. Okay, he coined this word Swaraj, which was later became the part of the ideology of Indian National Congress in 1906 Calcutta session, where Dadabhai Naroji became the president. Then comes the Swami Vivekananda. So movement, the Ramakrishna movement was started by Mr. Swami Vivekananda. Swami Vivekananda is a great personality, and I guess all of you who are preparing for it must have his photo in your phone, and you must have read about him. And because he said a lot of things about the youth of this country. So it was initiated to spread the message of Vedant with its headquarters at Belur, Calcutta. Swami Vivekananda addressed the famous Parliament Religions at Chicago in 1893. Two objectives of the Ramakrishna movement were to bring into existence a band of monks dedicated to a life of renunciation and practical spirituality, from among whom teachers and workers would be sent out to spread the universal message of Vedanta as illustrated in the life of Ramakrishna. In conjunction with lay disciples to carry on preaching philanthropic and charitable works, looking upon all men, women, and children, irrespective of caste, creed, or color, as veritable manifestation of the divine. Unlike the Arya Samaj, the mission recognizes the utility and value of image worship in developing spiritual fervor and worship of the eternal omnipotent God, although it emphasizes on the essential spirit and not the symbols or rituals. So now let me tell you a bit about this Ramakrishna movement that was started by Mr. Swami Vivekanand. So basically, the two objectives were there. One is that we should work towards the life of renunciation and practical spirituality. That means that whatever we are doing, basically as a Hindu, that worshipping the gods and in the form of idols and all that will not be sufficient. What we should do is working towards the practical spirituality, that we should look into ourselves, into the spirit, into the soul of our inside, of our consciousness. Then, from among whom teachers and workers would be sent out to spread the universal message of Vedanta as illustrated in the life of Ramakrishna. So, Ramakrishna Paramhans was the teacher of Swami Vivekananda, remember his name, and he was the worshipper of goddess Durga, remember that also. And in conjunction, basically, we should do also work related to the works related charitable works related to man, woman, and children, and we should not indulge caste in that. While doing charitable works, we should not look into the caste of different people, creed or color. So that was the basic thing behind it. Then comes the difference between Arya Samaj and Ramakrishna mission. So unlike the Arya Samaj, the mission recognizes the utility and the value of image worship in developing spiritual fervor and worship of the eternal omnipotent God. So, although it emphasizes on the essential spirit and not the symbols or rituals. So, basically, what they were saying is that we cannot just go and remove all the images, and we cannot just go and say that we should not worship the idols. But the point is that we can have the idols or the image so that it will help us in growing our meditation and looking towards the God in more focused. So that was the basic idea behind Ramakrishna mission. And do remember that Swami Vivekananda also addressed the famous Parliament of Religions at Chicago in 1893, after which after Swami Vivekananda became. Then comes Behramji M. Malabari. So organization was famously known as Seva Sadan that was started by him. It worked against child marriage and for widow remarriage among the Hindus. He acquired and edited the Indian Spectator. So this was Seva Sadan Society and it was started by Behramji M. Malabari and it was started in 1900. Then comes Radha Kant Dev. Dharma Sabha 1830 to counter the ongoing social reform movements led by protagonists such as Raja Ram Mohan Roy and Henry Thoreau. He was the founder president of British India Association in 1851 along with Debendranath Tagore as its secretary. It favored the promotion of Western education even for girls and that was Radhakant Dev and he started the Dharma Sabha. And basically it was also a kind of a counter that was given to Rajaram Mohan Roy who started the Brahmo Samaj and also Henry Thoreau who started the Young Bengal. But Radhakant Dev was also in the favor of Western education for girls. So in terms of some kind of things like particularly worshipping the god and all that monotheism, there must be a kind of a counter he had given. But in terms of education, introduction of Western education, he was in favor of both of them. Then comes the Madan Mohan Malviya. So Bharat Dharam Mahamandal that was started by Madan Mohan Malviya. All India organization of the Orthodox educated Hindus. It stood for a defense of Orthodox Hinduism against the teachings of the Arya Samajists, the Theosophists, and the Ramakrishna Mission. So that was basically started by Madan Mohan Malviya, and Madan Mohan Malviya was also recognized as the person who founded the Banaras Hindu University in 1916. Remember that. Then comes Sri Narayana Guru Swami. So Narayana Guru Dharma Paripalana movement and temple entry movements was basically started by Sri Narayana Guru Swami. Aravipuram movement to show the consecration of an idol was not the monopoly of the higher caste. It was started by installing Shivlinga on Shivratri in 1888. So do you remember? This was basically the Narayana Guru Dharma Paripalana movement and temple entry that was started by Sri Narayana Guru Swami. Then comes the CN Mudaliar, TM Nair, and Tyaga Raja. So justice movement it began in Madras in order to secure jobs and representation for non-Brahmins. In 1917, the Madras Presidency Association demanded separate representation for the lower castes in the legislature. It came under the leadership of Periyar E.V. Ramaswamy and his self-respect movement. So do remember that this was the time when some of the other type of movements were also started and basically this movement was started in Madras Presidency Association and it came under the leadership of Periyar E.V. Ramaswamy and his self-respect. Then comes E.V. Ramaswamy Naikar. So the self-respect movement was in 1920s. He emphasized to undermine the position of Brahman priests by formalizing weddings without Brahman priests. So basically, he was creating a self-respect thing in the society, and for that purpose, he was saying that we should do marriages with our own, and we should not engage Brahmins in the any kind of rituals that we are doing in the marriages. So that was the basic self-respect movement started by E.V. Ramaswamy Naikar. Do remember this? This has been asked little a lot of times also, who started the self-respect movement. Then comes the M.G. Ranade and Raghunath Rao. So Indian National Social Conference 1887. This was the time movement was started by them. It met annually from its first session in Madras in 1887 at the same time and venue as the Indian National Congress. It advocated intercaste marriages, opposed polygamy and Kulinism. It launched the pledge movement to inspire people to take a pledge against child marriage. So this was the thing started by M.G. Ranade and Raghunath Rao. And do you remember the Indian National Social Conference 1887 was started. The first session was held in Madras, and they advocated certain things like intercaste marriages. First of all, to end the caste system in our country. This is the basic thing that was told by everyone. Another thing is opposed polygamy. So polygamy basically means having multiple wives is basically the polygamy, and Kulinism. So these are the basic things that we should avoid and we can create a better thing. And under this, they also started the pledge movement to inspire the people to take the pledge against the child marriage as well. Okay. Then comes some Islamic reform movement. So first of all was the Sayyid Ahmad. So movement was basically known as the Wahhabi movement in 1820. It was an Islam revivalist movement. India was considered to be Darul Harb, land of the Kafirs, and it needed to be converted to Darul Islam, that is, land of Islam. So, this was the Wahhabi movement, and it was started by Sayyid Ahmad. I think it is very clear with the words what is written that what is this movement all about. So, do remember Wahhabi movement started by whom? Sayyid. Then comes Haji Shariatullah. The movement was famously known as the Faraizi movement, 1819. It emphasized on the Islamic pillars of faith. It aims to eradication of social innovation or un-Islamic practices among the Muslims and asked to perform their duties. So that was basically the Faraizi movement. And this was the thing in which they are saying that eradication of social innovation or un-Islamic practices among the Muslims and asked to perform their duty. Basically, on one side, we can see a lot of reforms were going on, but in cases of here, we can see that they are basically working towards introducing the orthodox only in their system. Then comes Mirza Ghulam Ahmad. That is famous. The movement he started was Ahmadiyya movement 1889. It described itself as the standard bearer of Mohammedan Renaissance and based itself, like the Brahmo Samaj, on the principles of universal religion of all humanity, opposing jihad. The movement spread Western liberal education among the Indian Muslims, and this was famously known as the Ahmadiyya movement. So this is the moment where the Western liberal education should be introduced and given to the Indian Muslims. And this movement was famously started by Mirza Ghulam. So do remember this. Another one was the famous Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, famously known for two nation theory and Anglo Mohammedan University he started that was today famously known as Aligarh Muslim University. So the movement he started was Aligarh movement 1875. This movement emerged as a liberal trend in Muslim intelligentsia. He started Mohammedan Anglo Oriental College, also today it is known as Aligarh Muslim University, and at Aligarh in 1875. Sir Sayyid's progressive ideas are propagated through his work Tehdeeb al Akhlaq. So do remember this book also. This is the book or this is the work here was written by Sir Syed Ahmad Khan and he wrote this because he wanted to propagate the things that he was thinking regarding the Aligarh movement and regarding the Islam in our country, in this country. He supported women empowerment and opposed Parda system and polygamy, condemned the system of Piri and Muridi. So he was also doing a lot of social movements at that time, create awareness among the Muslims also. He opposed Congress on the ground that it will lead to political monopoly of Hindus. This is the point where you can see that he was in the favor of two nation theory and he was the person who created that. So that was the Aligarh movement and that was Sir Syed Ahmad Khan. And do you remember his name? He was the person who started the Aligarh movement, famously known for Mohammedan Anglo-Oriental College, today known as Aligarh Muslim University. And another, other than that, he stated the two nation. Then comes the Muhammad Qasim Nanotavi and Rashid Ahmad Gangohi. So what they started was Deoband School, 1867. The school aimed to train religious leaders for Muslim community. It was seen as a revivalist movement organized by the ulema. So do remember Deoband. Deoband is a place that you can find in UP near Saharanpur, and basically it was started by Muhammad Qasim Nanotavi and Rashid Ahmad Gangohi. It welcomed the formation of the Indian National Congress, and that was Deoband School, and it was started in 1867. Remember that, and it was a kind of a revival moment for the Muslims in our country. Then comes the Parsi reform movement. So Rahanumai Majdayasana Nan Sabha. It was founded in 1851 by a group of English educated Parsis for the regeneration of the social conditions of the Parsis and the restoration of the Zoroastrian religion to its pristine purity. The movement was founded by Naroji Fordonji, Dadabhai Naroji, K.R. Kama, and S.S. Bengali. Its newspaper was Rast Guftar. This is really important. Rast Guftar, Truth Teller, and this is associated with the Parsi reform movements. Do remember this, and it was started by the English educated Parsis, the regeneration of social condition of Parsis, and restoration of Zoroastrian religion. Remember, Zoroastrian religion is the religion of Parsi people. Dadabhai Naroji, famously known as the Grand Old Man of India, and also became the first Persian president of Indian National Congress in 1886. Then comes the Sikh reform movement, guys. Singh Sabha movement was founded at Amritsar in 1873 with objectives to make available modern Western education to the Sikhs, to counter the proselytizing activities of Christian missionaries as well as the Brahmo Samajists, Arya Samajists, and Muslim Maulvis. The Akali movement, also known as Gurudwara Reform Movement, was an offshoot of the Singh Sabha movement. It aimed at liberating the Sikh Gurudwaras from the control of corrupt Udasi Mahants, the post having become hereditary. So let's know about this one now. So Singh Sabha movement, the area where it was started was Amritsar, and year it was started in 1873. The objective: modern Western education, first of all, that to be introduced to the Sikhs. Then comes the proselytizing activities of Christian missionaries. So basically, Christian missionaries were expanding themselves in the country, and to counter that, basically this movement was started as well as Brahmo Samajists, Arya Samajists, and Muslim Maulvis. So all the different type of missionaries that are working at that time, the Sikhs started this Sikh reform. Another one was Akali movement. and this was an offshoot of the Singh Sabha movement, and basically also known as the Gurudwara Reform Movement. And purpose is to liberate the Sikh Gurudwaras from the control of the corrupt Udasi Mahants. So basically, there was a post that became hereditary, and these Mahants are getting this post as a hereditary system. So there was a movement to liberate or to get free the Gurudwaras from these type of Mahants at that time. Other important movements, guys. Theosophical movement, very important. It was led by H.P. Blavatsky and M.S. Olcott in 1875, and it was headquartered in New York, and it was brought into India. And the person you must say that brought it into India was Annie Besant. Annie Besant was the follower of this type of movement, and also this was a monotheist movement that was started at that time. This movement came to be allied with Hindu Renaissance. It accepted Hindu beliefs such as reincarnation, Upanishads, and Vedanta. Annie Besant is associated with this movement and was elected as the president of the Theosophical Society in 1907. So as I was saying, she was the one who brought this into the India. And do remember that he's been elected as the Theosophical Society president in 1907. Annie Besant had come to India in 1893. She led the foundation of the Central Hindu College in Banaras in 1898, where both Hindu religion and Western scientific subjects were taught. The college became the Banaras Hindu University in 1960. So do remember when we talk about Annie Besant. So Annie Besant was the one who brought this kind of ideology into our country. And Annie Besant is also famously known to become the first woman president of Indian National Congress. That was in 1917. And she was also a very firm activist in the working of the freedom of our country. She also brought Home Rule League movement into our country in 19. So do remember Theosophical Society. It was headquartered and it was established in New York. And that's it in this session, guys. I hope you learned a lot of things with me in this session and gained great knowledge. And I hope that this session will help you a lot in your upcoming exams and you will find a lot of questions in them. And I will meet you in the next session. And till the time we meet, bye bye. Take care, everyone, and see you soon.